Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Just starting it off a little early here, letting people get signed in and settled down. We'll start our webinar shortly. Thank you again for joining us today for our webinar, What It Takes to Run a Great Hybrid Meeting. Thanks again for joining, everybody. We're just, like I said, starting a few minutes early, letting people get settled in. And just a reminder that today's webinar will be recorded. So if you signed up for today and weren't able to make it, or somebody else wasn't able to make it, at the end of the webinar, we'll send out a video link to everybody else to take a look at today's webinar. Please remember that we will be using our question and answer feature to get to your questions. So if you have any questions at all during the webinar, please go ahead and use the question and answer feature. We'll get to them first in as we can. And yeah, that should be good to go. All right, good morning, everybody. Again, we're just waiting for a few more people to sign in here. I see them jumping in now on the attendees list. See a few return names and a few new names as well. So it's nice to meet a few of you there. Again, this webinar will be recorded. And at the end of the webinar today, everybody who signed up, even if you didn't attend today, we'll send out a link for the video. And please use the question and answer feature in Zoom to let us know what you have on your mind, and we'll answer those questions at the end of our presentation. Thanks so much. We'll start shortly. Just a few more people signing in here, guys, and we will then begin shortly. And our topic for today is going to be what it takes to run a great hybrid meeting. All right, thank you, everybody. Still see a few people joining here, but I think we will kick it off now. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us today for our webinar titled What It Takes to Run a Great Hybrid Meeting. Again, just a reminder that this webinar will be recorded and will be emailed to you at the end of this webinar, as well as to those who weren't able to attend but did sign up. Please note we will be using the question and answer feature, and we'll be getting to those questions at the end of the presentation today. So please go ahead and put any questions you have in there. I'd also like to quickly introduce myself. My name is Tyler Babcock. I'm the Customer Success Manager here at Concierge Plus. And what I'd like to do now is introduce our panelist for today, Ben Zalekovitz. He's the co-founder of GetQuorum, and he's joining us today and helping a panel for us, our webinar on what it takes to run a great hybrid meeting. Good morning, Ben. Take it away.
Morning, Tyler. Let me just get my screen up there. Maybe Tyler, you can give me a thumbs up when you got my monitor in front of you. Awesome. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you to Tyler, to Avi, to Ali, to Peter, the whole Concierge Plus team for the invitation to be here. And per Tyler's introduction, I'm here to discuss the challenges with respect to holding owner meetings, AGMs in the current climate, and the opportunities that technology platforms like Concierge Plus and GetQuorum can offer. I prepared a brief 67 slide presentation for you. Only joking, folks. It's about a dozen, maybe about 24 slides, and should be about 20 minutes. And I'm definitely going to stick around to see if you have any questions. So let's get into it. So for those that aren't familiar with GetQuorum, we'll spend just a little bit of time giving you some background on us. We are an industry-leading provider of electronic voting and virtual meeting services. Our product and solution has been specifically designed for condos and HOAs. Further to that, we are even more tailored for the markets of Florida, Illinois, Ontario, British Columbia, Alberta, Maryland, the Carolinas, Virginia, and other states that we've worked in, and other provinces across Canada and North America more broadly. Since 2015, we provided our services to thousands of owner meetings and AGMs, and we began hosting virtual owner meetings and AGMs in response to the COVID pandemic about 2 years ago. We are the only Zoom ISV partner voting platform on the market. This unique partnership, which required Zoom to do a thorough analysis and vetting of GetQuorum software, allows us to build market-leading virtual meeting services, increases security, and offers a more flexible virtual meeting solution to meet the dynamic needs of the condominium and HOA election process. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about this later. We are proud members of various CAI chapters throughout the United States and Canada, as well as various CCI chapters across Canada. Lastly, we were voted, and we were really proud to be voted as the Associate of the Year by the Association of Condominium Managers of Ontario. Of course, Ontario is our home turf. And this is an award that we were given for our innovation in virtual AGMs, and it's something that we are particularly proud of. Just quickly on our services. So while Concierge Plus is a broad platform that covers the overwhelming majority of your day-to-day management needs, GetQuorum is a very niche platform, and we do only a few things, albeit we do those few things exceptionally well. So our services include electronic consent and meeting notice distribution. So we help migrate owners to electronic delivery and reduce your printing and mailing costs. We offer advanced balloting and proxy voting, which gives owners an opportunity to submit proxies and votes prior to the meeting. And then finally, we host virtual owner meetings and including real-time voting. And the trick here is that our proxy voting, our live-in meeting voting, and our virtual meeting software, they're all integrated together for seamless delivery. And then lastly, what is particularly exciting for Concierge Plus clients is that there is an integration that is ever deepening between Concierge Plus and GetQuorum. This will make the transfer of your data from CP to GetQuorum, or GQ as we call ourselves, seamless and easy. So now that we're acquainted, let's get into the meat of the presentation. All condos and HOAs were impacted in some way by the pandemic. For some clients, exclusively virtual AGMs remain the only option. For others, hybrid AGMs are now a popular topic of discussion. So we're going to review some basic definitions, challenges, and recommended best practices when considering holding a hybrid AGM. So first, let's talk about what exactly a hybrid meeting is. It may seem obvious. A virtual meeting is one that's held electronically. A hybrid meeting is held in conjunction with an in-person meeting. And so as restrictions ease, more and more of our clients will consider holding hybrid meetings. Hybrid meetings are a big part of the future, but they also create increased sophistication with respect to audio-visual considerations, tracking meeting and attendance, voting, and a slew of other challenges that need to be considered. We've hosted a number of these hybrid meetings, and we've got some cool technology solutions to address these challenges that are going to be ready in the coming weeks. So when the pandemic broke, there were a variety of challenges associated with holding exclusively virtual AGMs. This was because it was new and a novel concept amongst HOAs and condos. Nobody had previously done this exclusively virtual. Most meetings, the vast majority of meetings, were only in person. However, with some time, focus, and feedback, the art and the science of holding exclusively virtual meetings has been nearly perfected. As the pandemic winds down, a new slew of challenges are presenting themselves. So for many owners, in-person meetings are a relic of the past. For others, it is a health and safety risk, and they simply don't want to be in large groups of people. No matter how you cut it, gathering large groups of people indoors is a complicated matter, no matter where you might live. So while concerts, restaurants, and sporting events are examples of things that are better enjoyed in person with very little exceptions, annual general meetings or owner meetings are a perfect example of a type of gathering that simply no longer requires in-person attendance. This is nearly universally agreed upon by condominium owners. Simply put, nobody wants to go to these meetings, but everybody understands the importance of them. So offering an in-person option to those that choose to want to attend in person is the prudent thing for boards to offer, and offering a hybrid solution is the perfect way to achieve that. So this is why the hybrid meeting is starting to take shape. So there are a few things that you need to consider before deciding if you'll go exclusively virtual or perhaps offering a hybrid meeting. The challenges are registration and attendance, the owner's experience at the meeting, ensuring voting integrity and efficiency of the voting process, and then your audio and visual concerns. Jumping into the hybrid meeting without giving consideration to all of these matters can lead to meeting inefficiencies. So there's nothing worse than a virtual meeting that takes longer than an in-person meeting. That makes no sense. Lengthy registration periods and delays, long voting periods, incorrect voting tabulation, poor experience for your owners, technical issues logging on to the meeting, audio-visual feedback and failures, security breaches, and more. These are all things that if you're not carefully planning out your hybrid meeting that you could run into, and nobody wants that. So you have to overcome these challenges. So how do you do that? There are actually a variety of options that are available to those that wish to host a virtual AGM, and choosing the right solution shouldn't be too difficult. There are free and paid versions of web conferencing software. Think of Zoom, WebEx, Microsoft Teams. All of these solutions will give you just enough to pull off a hybrid or a virtual meeting, but not enough in our estimation to be a truly pleasant experience. A web conference only solution will leave meeting registration and voting to the organizers, and that is where it gets tricky, and we'll take a closer look at that. For smaller condominiums and HOAs, you can probably get by holding your virtual meeting or a hybrid meeting on Zoom, WebEx, or Microsoft Teams. For larger condominiums, let's put it in the 2 to 3 dozen units. Webinar software is wholly insufficient. So your entry point is webinar software. The next step up, you may have law firms and management companies that have solutions that work. And while I haven't reviewed every single one of these offerings out there, I can confidently say that very few of these actually have technology behind them. Rather, what they're doing is depending on executing manual processes very quickly behind the scenes during the meeting. This still adds time and length and complexity to your meeting. So if you're going to go virtual, you want your meeting to be quicker and more efficient with higher participation. So after the webinar solutions, after the manual processes that management companies may offer you and some law firms, you've got tech solutions like GetQuorum that are purpose-built to address the unique challenges of the electoral process for homeowner associations and condominiums. So how do you pick the right solution? It isn't hard. You want to choose a solution for your successful hybrid meeting based on voting, tracking attendance, your voters' experience, and security to ensure integrity of your vote. And so in most cases, your standalone webinar software isn't going to be able to do all of these things. What a webinar software can do is make sure that all the virtual attendees can hear each other, but not much more than that. It's not very useful for you during the actual voting period. So to highlight some of these specific challenges of adding a virtual component to a meeting, let's consider a relatively complex owner meeting in the Sunshine State of Florida with a homeowner association that has, let's say, 650 units. And those 650 units are divided into 3 sub-associations with 1 master association. So this particular association, maybe they decide that they're going to broadcast on Zoom or any other webinar provider. So let's see what sort of things they would be responsible for manually doing when they pick just a webinar-based solution. So this is a lengthy, wordy slide, apologies, but it's needed to help everyone understand the complexity of pulling off a hybrid meeting if you're going to do so alone. So here's some of the things to consider. And I assure you that even the best intentioned property manager is going to balk at the implications of being responsible for all of this stuff. So collecting consent for electronic communications and voting certificates. This part isn't so awful, but it's still a pain in the butt. And there's considerable savings at play here if you can move your owners onto electronic communication. You can use your platform like Concierge Plus to distribute your electronic notice, and voting platforms like GetQuorum will also play a part in distributing notices. After you've served the notice and you've gathered consent, you've got the whole process of distributing and collecting proxies. And then you have to be able to determine which attendees have submitted proxies prior to the meeting. And this is where it starts to get really fun in a kind of joking way. It actually gets really complicated at this point because owners don't want to fill out proxies. They don't know how. They can't be bothered. Or if they do complete the paper-based proxy, it could be done incorrectly. So managing the paper-based proxy submission process is not fun at all. Property managers, boards, they got better things to do than chase your ownership group around for proxies, absentee ballots, or advanced votes, whatever is the applicable solution in your jurisdiction. Owners are reasonable to expect a simple electronic way of participating in the meeting if they're unable to attend by submitting an advanced vote or an electronic proxy prior to the meeting. So after you've got all the proxies, now you got to tabulate them all, and you have to conduct attendance before the meeting to ensure quorum is achieved. And now we've gotten to the part where really being reliant upon manual processes can be problematic. You want this to be automated, and you want technology to do the heavy lifting here. Figuring out who's in your meeting, of the people that are present in your meeting, have any of them already voted, and calculating whether or not you've got quorum. That is a feat. If you can do that with a manual process, and some technology to help you out is very handy. So if by some miracle you're able to figure out which owners are present and you've got quorum, now you get to go into your meeting. And now the hardest part of all, executing and administering the voting period, the true test of whether or not your solution works. Can your solution determine the appropriate weight of both the live and proxy votes based on unit factors, ownership factors? Can you be certain that you're not duplicating votes? What if someone shows up and they want to revoke their proxy? That is a right that many owners have across many of the jurisdictions in North America. What if there are two owners present from the same unit? How do you tie it all together? And this is where hopefully you're going to start to see that an electronic voting and virtual AGM platform helps bring it all together to make it simple and automated for you. So if you did decide that you're going to swing at this by yourself, good luck. But you're going to be left with manual, time-consuming processes that may be prone to errors. By comparison, technology can help you run a meeting, administer voting in a quick and efficient manner, with voting periods that are approximately 5 minutes long, with near instantaneous results. Technology can make the old school way, paper proxies, paper balloting, obsolete, if it isn't already. So let's dig in a little bit deeper, because we've talked about this attendance and registration, and maybe it might not be perfectly clear to you why this is problematic. And so without properly naming virtual attendees that join your hybrid meeting, it's impossible to determine which meetings are in attendance, which owners are in attendance. And then if you can't tell who's there, how do you know that the people that are there haven't also submitted a proxy or maybe an advanced ballot ahead of the meeting? This is a challenging process. You don't want to take it. You don't want to risk it being manual, and you can't risk a mistake at this stage. Doing so incorrectly has negative impacts on the integrity of your meeting and the corresponding results of your election. So what we're trying to show for you here is the challenge of conducting virtual registration by highlighting something as simple as determining who's here. So who's in your meeting? Can you securely identify each attendee? Which unit or address do they represent? Have they submitted a proxy? Do they have quorum? What if an owner is present in person and another owner is present online? The combinations are limitless. If you can't answer all of these questions quickly and efficiently, you're going to have a real problem, particularly when it comes time to vote. So when it comes to GetQuorum, our integration with Zoom, which I alluded to earlier, solves this problem and automates the attendance and registration process. So when owners and voters join our meetings, their names are uniformly presented, including their unit number, their HOA address or unique identifier, and then GetQuorum system behind the scenes tracks who's present, who's been marked in attendance at the in-person meeting, and gives you a true and accurate registration and attendance count immediately. No delays, no manual work. You're just straight into your meeting. So let's move from the attendance portion of the meeting, which happens right at the outset, down into the actual voting of the meeting. So ensuring the accuracy of voting results is crucial to the integrity and overall success of a condo and HOA governance meeting. Pretty obvious statement, right? So it's my opinion that without a dynamic voting platform that can accommodate unique voting requirements, property managers and board members will manually need to find answers to critical questions. Is an owner eligible to vote? What is the weight of their vote? Have they been given any proxies? Are they there in person as well as virtually? And then how are you going to tie all of this together? So when going back to our Florida HOA example, can we ensure that only the appropriate owners are voting on their sub-association elections? Maybe you're a condominium corporation in the province of Ontario, and now you need to limit the owners that are present virtually to limit them to only voting on the owner-occupied position. So do you have the necessary records afterwards? How will you integrate the in-person votes with the virtual votes? This is the crux of the challenge when it comes to voting. And a mistake here is fatal. It's embarrassing and it's costly. The last thing a property manager or a board wants is a botched election and having to rerun and recall a meeting all over again. So with GetQuorum solution, we integrate all votes immediately. We include auto-revoking proxies and the advanced votes as required. This ensures no duplicate votes. It shortens your voting period, and it hardwires and guarantees the integrity of your results. So last of the the drill down we're doing on the specific problems that you may have with hybrid meetings, you have to consider the importance of audio visual. So unlike in-person or virtual only meetings, audio visual can have a considerable impact on the overall success of a hybrid meeting. Selecting an adequate an inadequate AV provider for your hybrid meeting can negatively impact the experience for both your in-person attendees and your virtual attendees significantly. Simply sticking a laptop in the room or multiple laptops in the room may work. And I repeat, it may work, but there is a real good chance of microphone feedback, poor audio quality, poor video quality. And then there are other things to consider, like, will the recording of the meeting properly translate to compliant notes and minutes that need to be taken for your meetings? And I think you're going to find these days that minute takers are going to most often be more so interested in attending your governance meetings virtually than they are coming in person. So the obvious answer here is to hire an AV vendor to mic up your meeting room. This adds yet another added expense that can vary significantly based on the type of solution that was required. Do you need a big screen? Do you need multiple mics? Do you need multiple cameras? There is no such thing as an out-of-the-box AV solution for a hybrid meeting. So there is a little bit of legwork that is required of the board of the management company to plan and consider the audiovisual requirements for a meeting. Wrapping up here, Tyler, I'll give it back to you in just a couple minutes here. So some best practices, tips, and tricks if you're going to go forward with a hybrid meeting, and we hope you do. Adopt your meeting procedures for a hybrid meeting. The board, the property manager, everybody has to be open-minded. It's not the same as a virtual only meeting, and it's definitely not the same as an in-person meeting. You have to have an open mind and be willing to change and adopt your procedures to match what the technology has to offer you. You got to up your audio visual game. So whether or not it's a laptop in a room or a high-end AV vendor or any option in between, you got to plan for it. You need to choose a suitable platform for both in-person and virtual votes. It could be the same platform. You could use one for advanced voting, paper ballots in person, and virtual ballots with a vendor, or you can use a solution that ties it all together to make the voting period nice and smooth. A strong meeting chairperson, can't underscore this enough. The chairperson must be well versed in hosting a virtual meeting. It can be their first, but they better have done a dress rehearsal, gone through your agenda, and made sure that you have mapped the things that you need to achieve to your meeting, to the technology that is being provided, and that you know exactly what is being voted on and in what manner it is being voted. Is it a secret ballot? Is it just a hand raise? How will you achieve this during the meeting? You have to design the meeting for all attendees. Maybe you're looking at a heavy virtual component with a few owners in person. Or maybe it's the other way around. It's going to be a large in-person presence with just a small virtual component. You have to think this through and know your ownership group to figure out what you're going to get. Test your technology in advance, equalize the Q&A and other participation opportunities. So we discussed there could be in-person heavy or virtual heavy attendance. How are you going to pick who gets the Q&A? How are you going to make sure that everybody has an equal opportunity to voice their concerns during the meeting? Have technical support readily available during the meeting. And then lastly, and once again, hold a dress rehearsal. Maybe the day of the meeting, maybe a week before the meeting, get everybody in a virtual room together, figure out how this is all going to work. So lastly, we'll give you just a quick glance at what GetQuorum solution looks like. Several clients have used our service to host a successful hybrid meeting. And so in addition to providing a secure, reliable platform for virtual attendees, our full service includes electronic notice distribution, electronic proxy and or advanced voting, meeting attendance and tracking both for your in-person and for your virtual attendees, and then live electronic voting and more. And it ties everything together in what we think is a pretty seamless experience for our clients. And we do have a bunch of really cool tricks up our sleeve for the upcoming hybrid season that are set to be released in the coming months. So stay tuned for some exciting announcements from us. Lastly, one of our US clients in, I believe, Virginia, one of the larger HOAs that we work with over 1,600 homes, achieved quorum, had the highest participation they've ever had and voter turnout to date with a hybrid meeting using GetQuorum, and they were quite thrilled with us. So I am approaching just over 20 minutes. I want to make sure I'm respectful of everybody's time. If you need to reach me, contact at getquorum.com. And I'd like to once again thank Tyler and the Concierge Plus team for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I'm happy to stick around for any questions. Tyler.
Thanks so much, Ben. I'm just going to pop up here and share my screen again. A thumbs up from you there, Ben, if you can see everything on my end. Okay.
You're good to go.
Awesome. All right, everybody. So again, I want to thank Ben for presenting our topic today on what it takes to run a great hybrid meeting. And I'd also like to now welcome a couple of the new faces here and just give you guys a quick background on who we are at Concierge Plus. So Concierge Plus is a cloud-based experience management platform, and we've been helping managers and community associations of teams provide the ultimate in-class experiences for residents for over 20 years now. We've got over 30 plus modules that we can tailor fit to meet any community's resident experience management needs. We work with thousands of managers across North America and as well across the globe. And we have been featured as industry-leading advisors in many online print and publications, and you may have come across our name there in some of these. So I think Ben hit the nail on the head there that, you know, whether it's running your hybrid meeting or managing your community, you need to be leveraging technology to do the heavy lifting for you. With that being the case, the best way for associations and property management to keep up and stay proactive while managing it's easier said than done these days, right? Community managers are constantly encountering competing pulls for their time and their resources between essential everyday tasks and, unfortunately, dealing with emergency situations. And then consider within the last 18 months that the scope of what a manager needs to do just on their day-to-day has also increased to meet the challenges of our current situation. And I don't think it's a surprise to anybody that community managers are more pressed now for their time than ever before. This is why you need your tools to be saving you time, and they need to be fast and flexible to help you keep up and stay proactive when managing your community. Now, with all that being the case, the tools that you choose to use, whether it be to host a hybrid meeting or to manage your community, you need to prioritize them to save you time. Often, community managers are using outdated spreadsheets or manual processes, just like Ben mentioned, for many different things, with data scattered across their whole office, right? And to try and manage all of that data for an entire community becomes a huge task unto itself. A central hub to neatly and efficiently store and work with your data is the key to having your tools really save you time in your day-to-day. Your management tools will also need to be technology-based in 2021, and that means they need to be cloud-based. This is to ensure reliable and convenient access to your community and its data and resources, as well as ensuring that your data is safely and securely stored. Many communities still rely on pen and paper processes, and that's only as safe as a piece of paper can be. Now, finally, to ensure you're managing proactively, your tools need to be flexible. Community managers need the ability to work with their tools to best adapt to their changing situations and scenarios within their community and their jurisdiction to ensure that they can deliver on their time so that these tools can deliver on their time-saving capability and not, in fact, get of the way and can become a detriment to the ever-changing landscape that is your community management. So I'd like to talk a little bit about how Concierge Plus and our community tools can help you, just like this, to save time and gain flexibility that you need. So as I mentioned, we do have over 30 modules that we can help tailor fit to custom build a solution for your resident experience management platform needs for your community. However, every community needs a hub to store and manage all of their resident data. Now, our tool helps you do this easily and effectively using our unit and user manager. So the unit and user manager also contains customizable fields and access controls that offer an even further custom fit to your community. To save you even more time, Concierge Plus can also automatically synchronize with your property management accounting platform to keep records up to date. Now, we do this by automatically integrating with your existing data to keep your resident access synchronized. This allows new accounts for new residents and owners to be created, as well as automatically deactivating those who've sold their units. Now, we also work with industry-leading companies just like GetQuorum to utilize our existing resident database within Concierge Plus by leveraging our outgoing API capability. So this helps your community management become faster and easier than ever by leveraging additional tools and then making dividends possible off of your community resident hub that you've already got collected. Finally, we also offer omni-channel communication to your residents to ensure quality communication that they expect from their community management, while at the same time making it easy and fast for managers to be able to effectively communicate with some or all of their residents with notifications utilizing email, SMS, and phone call, as well as real-time updates to digital signage throughout your community. Finally, since we are a cloud-based solution, this allows an enormous amount of flexibility when it comes to the end user. You're not only stuck accessing your tools on one desktop like a traditional software-based system, but instead we offer a completely responsive platform which management and residents can access not just from a desktop or laptop, but also from a mobile or tablet browser, as well as from your very own Concierge Plus app. So what I'd like to do now is take a quick look at a demo community, a fictitious community called Garnet Lofts, that's using Concierge Plus to help their association accomplish all of the things that they need to using our tools. So we have many aspects of our tools that help with resident experience needs, but I'm going to focus on the ones that can specifically save you time as management and help deliver that effective communication and experience that your residents need. So let's take a quick look at this community now. So what we're logged into here is Garment Lofts. Now, we're logged in as the property manager, and as the property manager, we're just getting into work today. Our daily overview's got all of our sort of important tasks that are up to date right there for the management, so that you don't have to go hunting and pecking through multiple email threads, maybe a text message from an owner. Everything is listed, laid out and easy, and you know what you need to action to stay on top of your community. Now, as this manager, one of our first tasks today is we're going to be going to send out an email because we have some things changing here at our pool. We've already started working on a draft of our announcement and we've saved it here. But what I want to point out is a really neat time-saving feature from Concierge Plus. Now, as I mentioned, okay, community managers are constantly bouncing around between required tasks and different emergencies that pop up throughout the day. For you to say that you're going to be in your office at your desk at a specific time is an increasing rarity as property management's time is being pulled in all different directions. So one of the great tools that I love in our announcement module is this. At the same time that you're going to create your announcement with one simple click of the button, you can also at the same time create a community event schedule event right in the same place so that you can make the announcement, create the event, and then get that out to your residents. Now, another neat and time-saving feature that we have here is when we go ahead and publish our announcement, we have the ability to set the date and time that this announcement goes out. And just like I said, I know it's very difficult for community managers to be physically in their desk at the time an announcement needs to go out to get things done. And what this tool allows you to do is whenever you've got that spare moment in between emergency to emergency, you can draft your email, save the draft, get it ready to go. And when it's all said and done, set it, forget it, and move on with the other pressing time needs that are on your desk for that day. So we've now gone ahead and we sent this announcement as our property manager, and we're going to do a little bit of user management now, because again, we've got a couple of people moving in, moving out, needing a few things to be reviewed. And that easy and centralized database is what's going to help us get done what we need to do as a property manager. So our global search bar up at the top here allows you to do a couple of really cool things. You can search by name or unit number, just like I've done, but you can also search by parking spot number and by license plate. Now, we know that Melanie is going to be moving out of a unit 103. She's sold it. It's going to be at the end of the month here, and we're going to have a new owner take occupancy. Now, it's as simple and as easy as editing her profile whenever we've got a quick moment and setting her to a move out date. Now we don't need to be tied to our desk on the end of the month, frantically adding and removing all these people as the influx of residents comes in and out near month end. We can save it, we can set it, we can forget it. And at the beginning, at the end of October, or at the end of the month, beginning of October, Melanie's now going to be moved out from the property, deactivated, and her records saved and stored. We also have the very same feature for new residents moving into the building. This becomes a move in feature. However, some people might go even a step further and save themselves even more time by integrating their community accounting platform with Concierge Plus. Now, what this allows is for your residents' contact information, types, unit association, and in some cases, custom field and financial information for transactions and other things to be directly input into Concierge Plus on an automatic basis by your accounting software. This means that any data management, users in, users out, is completely taken care of for you by just making those singular one-time updates in your accounting software. Now, while we're on Melanie's profile, I want to point out a couple of other neat tools that Concierge Plus has to save you time and make your life just a little bit easier. I want to point out everything that's under here under the user group, because each and every one of these things here is a custom field. Custom fields are a tool that's applicable on many of our modules in Concierge Plus, and that allows additional information that's important for you as community managers to be attached to either unit profiles, amenity bookings, service requests, you name it. Custom fields are ubiquitous across our core modules, and that really allows flexibility and granularity when trying to get the most out of your resident information hub. You can see here that in this instance, we've created some custom fields for emergency contacts, emergency assistance, insurance, and even a more pressing thing, especially for some of the Canadian clients, is vaccine passport and expiries. It's just as easy as going into your settings and configuring custom fields. And like I said, many of our modules have this custom fields tool. And last but not least, just like we were talking about with Ben, we also have, just like our partnership with GetQuorum, our outgoing API capability, which allows us to interface with many industry leading technology providers to provide unique and, again, niche solutions to your community while utilizing Concierge Plus's unit and user management data hub. All right, everybody, that's what we wanted to show you and talk a little bit about here on Concierge Plus today. What we're going to do now is open this up for the question and answers. Let's just take a quick look here. And we'll start answering some questions that we have from our team. Rather not our team, our questions that we have here from you guys here in the audience today. So one question that I have here right away is, how do I enable these additional modules or features for Concierge Plus? And that's coming in from Adam. Adam, what you can do is actually just email support@conciergeplus.com, and then we'll be more than happy to go through the needs that you have and help you kind of reconfigure your site and get everything sort of looking the way that you'd like. Let's see here. So this question is from Samantha, and this one goes to Ben. Again, it's a bit difficult to quantify, but the question that we have here is, how much time can I save by running a hybrid meeting?
That's an excellent question. If you consider the entirety of the organization of an AGM or owner meeting, inclusive of the process of serving notice and scrutinizing and gathering proxies prior to the meeting, and the actual in-person experience, I would ballpark it in somewhere between 5 to 15 hours worth of time for just your property manager. If it's just the meeting itself, having a GetQuorum, for example, on a virtual meeting, you'll shave off 45 minutes to an hour easily to make sure you're in and out. Hope that helps.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. I've got another question here from Frank. He said, what accounting softwares does Concierge Plus integrate with? Well, that's a great question. We integrate with many of the industry leaders in the the community management accounting software field. And even if we don't currently integrate with one that your current provider is, we do actually consider working with new providers all the time. So just give us a quick contact at sales@conciergeplus.com. Let us know who it is you're working with and what you'd like to try and do, and we're more than happy to entertain that conversation. Another question here for Concierge Plus from Teresa. She's saying, I've got a community and I'm interested in getting Concierge Plus. How would I go about that? What does it cost? Well, again, Teresa, that's very specific to your community. Like I mentioned, we have many different modules and features to tailor fit communities. So your best bet is to email us here at sales@conciergeplus.com so that we can take a talk with our team, get to know your community a bit better, and figure out what parts of our tools best fit you and what you may be wanting to do with that. All right, another question here from Ben, from Adam, it looks like again. What other products does GetQuorum offer that can help me as a community manager for a large HOA?
So for a large HOA, the easiest way to conceptualize our service is firstly, what we do is we optimize your communication to electronic. And so for many jurisdictions, depending on where you may operate, you acquire various consents from an owner to waive the obligation for an HOA or condo to printed mail. So the first thing that we can help with is electronic communications. And that allows you to import from GetQuorum the consents that you have received seamlessly into the Concierge Plus platform, therefore allowing you to move and migrate your communications to electronic format in perpetuity. We also handle for those states and provinces that require voting certificates. And then and voting certificates is a required step, for example, in the state of Florida, in the state of Illinois. There are consent processes required specifically for participating in electronic elections. So there's the consent process, voting certificates, electronic notice delivery, printing and mailing for notice owners that haven't noticed, advanced voting or advanced proxy voting, and then the virtual meeting itself. Our service is completely and entirely revolves around governance. And we don't endeavor to be anything more other than the best in that particular area of the condo and HOA software technology landscape.
Awesome. I got another question here for you, Ben. It's from Mark, and Mark was asking, in terms of audio visual providers, are there any that you can suggest for hosting a hybrid meeting that can help a community with limited AV capabilities?
Yes, there are. We are building state by state and province by province lists of vendors. It will require you to speak directly to an AV vendor to outline for them the size of the room, the number of people in attendance, and then they can give you a better sense of the quote. But GetQuorum as an in-house service does not offer in-person audio visual assistance. We do recommend that you approach a professional for that, and we can point you in the direction of some based on where you are.
Awesome. And I've got another question here. I think this is for us at Concierge Plus. Someone said, on your demo, I saw a field for, the COVID vaccine passport. So that's actually a custom field. We actually just put in just put out today a video on a couple of our tips and tricks and suggestions for managing, your community and vaccine passports. Obviously, that's going to be depending on your jurisdiction and region, but take a look and check out that video for more information on that. We've got another question in here from Yoshiko and asking, Ben, do you have a presence in Hawaii?
We have a presence in the southern United States, and I am aware that Hawaii does have laws and bylaws that permit the usage of electronic voting. So if you are in the state of Hawaii and interested in working with us, there's absolutely nothing preventing that, and we'd love the chance. So thank you, Yoshiko.
Awesome. All right, guys, it looks like we're at the end of our questions here. I want to thank everybody for, again, joining us today. Just a quick reminder again that the webinar is being recorded today, and everybody who joined and signed in, as well as those who signed up but couldn't attend, will be sent a copy of that as well. Again, you've seen the contact information there for Ben at GetQuorum and ourselves here at Concierge Plus. So if you guys do think of any other questions after the webinar is over, please feel free to give us a call and a contact. We'd love to answer those questions for you. Again, I'd like to thank Ben for being our fantastic panelist today, and thank all of you guys as our audience today. Have a great day and take care, everybody. Be safe, be well.